What's going on, everyone? So Austin Reaves continues to just dominate for Team USA. It's been a wonderful thing to see. But beyond just dominating on the basketball court, one of the things that he's doing is building relationships, building friendships, and you just see all of just the chemistry that he has built with some of these guys. So many of these players, Brandon Ingram, Mikal Bridges, like a lot of these guys have really spoke very highly of Austin Reaves, and Austin Reaves in return has done the same. And we've seen this over the course of several USA stints with many players where they become friends. They build that relationship. They build that friendship. A lot of these guys also are playing in the same AAU circuits. It's just the NBA in today's times is very different than what it once was, right? All of these guys are at least very familiar with each other. They've at least heard of each other, right? And then now they all get to go and team up for this common goal of trying to win a gold medal and are really in the right direction, right? They were undefeated in the exhibitions and have a real shot at getting this done. And I really do believe that Team USA has a real chance with this roster to go win a gold medal. But in building those friendships and building those relationships, we have seen in the past these guys eventually teaming up together or at least having that conversation. And there have been murmurs and questions of like, hey, Austin Reaves is recruiting people. Austin Reaves is talking to people. Austin Reaves is, telling guys, hey, come to the Lakers, right? And Austin Reaves got asked. So according to Jovan Buha, he was asked, Austin Reaves, on recruiting players from Team USA to come to Lakers. And Austin Reaves said, I can't speak on that, but I like some of the guys we're playing with. So, yeah. Take that as you may. He's absolutely recruiting players from Team USA. It has been talked about. It has been murmured. It has been all kinds of stuff. And usually where there's smoke, there is fire. It makes sense, right? This is something that many people have done, right? Miami's Big Three. That's how they were assembled. They were playing on Team USA together, built this friendship, built the relationship, and then said, God, it would be great to play together one day. And fast forward several years, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, wait a minute, we could actually all play together. We should do that. And they all teamed up and went to Miami, and they won an NBA championship. Well, they won 2 NBA championships, right? So it's something that is very not like that far-fetched to believe that Austin Reaves has at least had conversations. I'm not saying he's going up to Anthony Edwards and going up to Brandon Ingram and going up to these guys and going, hey, you guys are coming to Lakers when your contract's up. I don't think it's like that. But I could see, man, I love playing with you. Dude, I love playing with you too. Like, man, come on. Like, your contract's up in a couple years, right? Like, maybe we can make it happen. You come to Lakers, something like that. Just kind of in passing, like, hey, you never know. We'll see what happens. Like, we'll see how it goes. Like, and you have those talks and you have those conversations, right? Sometimes it's like, you even have those talks in like the kind of joking manner, right? It's like, it's not a joke. Like, you're half serious, like, hey, what do you think about going here? Right? It's like, haha, if their answer is like, no, I would never do that. It's like, yeah, you're right. Like, those kind of things. But it does make sense. Now, the most likely player on Team USA would probably be Brandon Ingram, right? Because most of these other guys are already still under contract for the next several seasons, right? Like, Anthony Edwards would be that would be a home run, in my opinion. I would love to have Anthony Edwards, dude. This guy is just everything that represents superstardom and just, man, Anthony Edwards is like your favorite player's favorite player. And he's still only like 22 years old, which is ridiculous. But problem is, he just signed a new extension, so he's under contract for the next like 4 or 5 years. But Brandon Ingram, his contract actually lines up perfectly with LeBron's contract. So you could literally just, like, when LeBron leaves, swap him with Brandon Ingram. Or, something along those lines. Or maybe even LeBron, if he does want to stick around, maybe you'll work something out to where LeBron takes that discount, right? Like, what if the Lakers win the championship this year or next year, right? Does LeBron say like, I don't want, like, I'm just going to leave? Or does he look at it and go, man, I should try to go get number 6, right? And, or like, what happens if he wins back to back? Wouldn't you want to go and try to three-peat? Now, again, I'm not saying that they will. I'm not saying that they won't. But it's not that far-fetched to think the Lakers might win the championship this year and next. They have the talent. They have the roster. It's just going to come down to like health and stuff like that. And so, there is always the option of like, hey, like, no, we could go get Brandon Ingram back, bring him back to the Lakers, and have a starting front court of like Brandon Ingram, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. That would be pretty solid. And then when LeBron ends up leaving, then you have Brandon Ingram, Rui Hachimura, and Anthony Davis. That's very good with Jared Vanderbilt off the bench. Like, that would be ridiculous, right? Like, there gives you many options. And, Brandon Ingram, even if you had to, you could also like have him play the 2 guard if need be, right? And have a really big lineup because of his ability to just shoot the basketball and score, right? It gives you like, you could even do that. You could go like Reaves, Ingram, Vando, Rui, and Anthony Davis. I'm not saying that they have to do that regularly or anything like that, but it's not that far-fetched. But like outside of that, like you look at most of the teams on team, or most of the players on Team USA, and most of them have several years left on their contracts. And the other ones are kind of just like, like Josh Hart, Cam Johnson, like guys like that. Like, could you get them? Sure. But it's just like, I'm talking about like the stars, right? Like Mikal Bridges, he's under contract for the next few years. Like I said, Anthony Edwards, God, I would just like, and look, I wouldn't be surprised. Like if the Minnesota Timberwolves don't end up like figuring it out with him, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to go over here. Like, let's go to LA, right? Just a thought, but pipe dreams, most likely. But regardless, outside of that, Jaren Jackson, he's another guy that would be great. Man, imagine like Jaren Jackson and Anthony Davis. Like, that would be ridiculous. But he's under contract for 2 more years. So his contract expires in 2025, 2026. Now, maybe that's something that he would look into. Now, that would be the year after LeBron's contract, because LeBron's got this year and he could opt in next year, right? And so that would put Jaren Jackson next year. He'd only be 25, but then after next year, he'd have 1 more year on his contract in which he could then say, hey, like, I'm done. I'm moving on. Like, let's go. And what's interesting is Jaren Jackson's contract actually declines every year. So, I don't know. Maybe the Lakers make a trade. Maybe they work something like that out, right? I don't know. Just a thought. Just a question. But more likely than not, like, the one guy that my guess would probably be Brandon Ingram. And, like, the Pelicans have already talked about potentially trading him. And there's all the rumors and whatnot. So, I don't know. You never know, right? Like Brandon Ingram returning to Lakers. I don't know how you'd feel about that. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't mind it at all. I think he is solid. He was one of the guys that was super hyped in coming out of Duke. And then when the Lakers got him, I was super stoked about it. Sucked that the Lakers had to trade him to get Anthony Davis, but I get it. It was kind of the either Brandon Ingram or Kyle Kuzma, but Kyle Kuzma made more sense with LeBron and AD, right? Especially at the time. So I get it. But it would have been nice to be able to keep Brandon Ingram. My only concern with Brandon Ingram is just his injuries, right? Like that dude he hasn't been able to stay healthy. But again, he's playing with Team USA. It looks good. Regardless, Austin Reaves and him recruiting for, Team USA and the Lakers, it makes too much sense. Like to think that these guys aren't talking, to think that these guys haven't like explored like, oh, I wonder what it would be like to play together in the NBA. Like, man, how many championships could we win if the 3 of us play together or the 2 of us play together, right? And Austin Reaves has a pretty good sales pitch, right? We got a really nice young talent, nice young core. Anthony Davis is locked up long-term for the next 5 years. LeBron leaves, we'd have the money to go sign you, right? All of these guys are on very reasonable contracts. Even myself is on a very reasonable contract. Imagine me playing the point and setting you up and getting you going and whatnot. Like, I don't know. It's an interesting thought. It is. But again, it's to think these guys don't have conversations, I think is silly, right? Like I've had people like in comment sections be like, oh, like Austin Reaves. Like I don't see Reaves recruiting players. And it's like, again, I don't think he's going up to them and being like, hey, your contract's up in 2 years. You're coming to Lakers. I don't think it's like that. But to think that they're not like, oh man, it'd be fun for us to play together. Of course they are. You don't think they're doing that when they're playing against each other in AAU or they're going to camps or they're doing it. Of course they are. You don't think that those conversations happen at all-star breaks and stuff like that? Of course they do. Right? Like, we've seen players team up and things happen way too many times. We've seen players call other players and recruit and stuff like that. Like, it happens. Right? Like, it's something that absolutely happens. And so, Austin Reaves, I am all for it. Talk your talk, preach your preach, and get us some of these stars. Let's go. Right? Because we could use them, and I'm all for it. Let's go win several championships. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What player from Team USA would you want to see? Right? Is there anyone that's specific that you'd like to have? Like I said, Anthony Edwards would be like my dream. Imagine a Austin Reaves, Anthony Edwards, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, and Anthony Davis starting five. Like, whew, sheesh. Like, whew. That would just be, I don't know. I would love that. But anyway, love to hear your thoughts and opinions. However you feel, let me know down in the comments.